The Europa Conference League delivered one of the most memorable results in the competition's short history last night as Norwegian side Bodo Glimt beat the might of Roma and Jose Mourinho 6-1. What a result that was. Who better to discuss that amazing result with than their CEO, Frode Thomassen, who joins us now. Very good to see you. Welcome to Good Morning Sports fans. It's been, 12 hours now, I think, since that match took place. Have you had any sleep whatsoever?
A little bit tired this morning, but it has been a fantastic morning, and last night was tremendous. It was fantastic for our fans, and it was a good night for Norwegian football.
A huge night for Norwegian football. And Frode, I guess that the question is, how did you do it? Because, this is a Jose Mourinho side. He's not used to conceding one, let alone six. So what was the secret to the win?
I think we have a team that has been performed very well for some years now. So when we were well prepared, and we have, in many aspects, we feel comfortable in Europe. So when they come up in north of the polar circle, it was like it was a cold night on artificial turf, but we have a good side, and we would like to see that we were compatible, that we could make it a tight match. And of course, it was a big win for us yesterday. So we're having a really good morning.
I suppose the question is can you keep this momentum, the confidence that your players are playing with? Can you keep that going now?
Yeah, we think so. We like to play those matches out in Europe. This is our second year where we are able to play in European tournaments, and we feel that for every match that we play, that we are getting more confident, and of course that's it gives us knowledge as well. So we feel that we hope and we think that we will stay in the run, and hopefully we can get through the group stage as well.
And can I just ask, how much of a factor is it where you are geographically located? You mentioned it yourself, Frode, that you're in the Arctic Circle, you're the far north of Norway. It's an artificial pitch. How much do you play on that? How difficult do other non-Norwegian sides, when they come to Bodo Glimt, find that to contend with?
Now, a modern artificial turf are pretty good to play on. Of course, it's different for players that play regularly on grass, but it's not that different. But of course, it's a smaller stadium. We had a full stadium last night, and it was 6,000 spectators. Of course, it's in Rome. It's different infrastructures in bigger leagues, in bigger clubs. There are different infrastructure, but. I think it's different, but it's not that it affects the game that much. I think we have had great teams here before, and they have also performed well. So, but yesterday we were really good, performed on our best, and then we were able to beat the Roma, and that's for Norwegian football and the club. It's a fantastic result.
Now, there's obviously a Norwegian manager creating plenty of headlines in the Premier League right now. You might have heard of him. We'll come on to Ole GunnerSolskjaer in a second. But first, tell us about your head coach, Knutson, and how he managed to do this, how he managed to get one over Mourinho. Was you surprised, or has this been coming, do you think, a big result like this from this head coach?
Kjetil, but it's about the whole team that we have of trainers. But Kjetil is we have worked together now for 4 years, and we have a kind of clear strategy. We have a clear style of playing, and Kjetil is a man that is good to create a good learning environment. We are developing young players. We have had continuity over some years now, but of course he's a really good head coach, because it's also about developing human beings. It's not like only footballers. I think football, in a way, also is about developing character, and we have a strong culture in our squad at the moment. And Kjetil is, of course, he's a really good man to have in that position. So we are really happy to have him, and hopefully we can work with him for many years.
Jess mentioned Ole GunnerSolskjaer, of course, currently with Manchester United, and it seems like the man is continually under pressure. And that 4-2 defeat against Leicester, but then they came back against Atalanta to win in the Champions League this week. Do you keep a close eye on how Ole is going? Because ultimately, he's one of your country's greatest exports, and he's kind of leading the way as far as managers are concerned.
Yeah, Ole Gunnar is a big name, and he's also we think he's a really good manager. we are really sharing with him, and for Norwegian football, it's fantastic that we have a guy in UK managing one of the best clubs in the world. So, of course, he's an inspiration for Norwegian football and coaches as well. And so, we are following really close. Norway is not that big. It's just 5.4 million people living here, and when we have a manager from Norway in those kinds of clubs, it's big. It's big for us. But he's a big inspiration for coaches coming from Norway as well. We see that it's possible to have that kind of position in bigger clubs.
And when you think about sort of big names that come out of Scandinavian and Nordic football at the moment, of course you can't look past Erling Braut Haaland as well. Do you think that there's a real interest now in football in the region with the kind of talents that you're starting to produce?
Yeah, Norwegian football, we have struggled for some years, but now we see real improvement. They have been working. Many clubs are working really well when it comes to develop young players, and you see that in our national team. And Molde has done really well for some years now out in Europe. We are following up. Rosenborg has a strong tradition in the European tournaments. So I think for the next coming 5 years, I think Norwegian football will take place in European football in another way that we have done for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think that also, it's interesting scenarios involving just ownership of clubs in those areas, particularly in places like Norway and Finland and Sweden and Denmark. It can represent great value for someone who's looking to invest in a club and grow them and see how they progress. But given this result against Roma, I just wonder, Frode, do you have any kind of message to the rest of this competition? Because arguably you've pulled off the biggest shot that there is. So what do you have to say to anyone else who's got to come and face your team in the coming weeks and months?
No, we have to perform we have to go on the pitch and train every day and work hard, and we try to perform on our best every time we have a match. I think there are a lot of good teams in the Conference League, so we'll see. But hopefully we go through the group stage, and I think everything can happen. So we are hoping, and we have good faith in our quality. So we hope that we could perform like we did yesterday in the next matches coming up, and then we'll see how far it will go.
Fantastic. An absolute pleasure to speak to you. I'm sure you're a very proud man this morning. We'll let you go off and get some sleep now, Frode. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
Yeah, I need it. Yeah. Okay, bye-bye.